God, folks, we are in the thick of it now. These games are getting crazy. Welcome back to the OUA Basketball Show. My name's Griffin Porter, and when the games are this important and this intense and this good, even as a fan, I get nervous. I like to pace while I watch. That makes me stress. That makes me sweat. It makes me need to rehydrate. And if you need to rehydrate, of course, that BioSteel is redefining sports hydration. And as the official hydration partner of the OUA, they're supporting the next generation of Canadian athletes. Their zero sugar, high quality products help athletes perform at their best. Check out biosteel.ca/OUA for more info. Welcome back to the OUA Basketball Show, everyone. My name's Griffin Porter, and time is of the essence, both for our show here today and for the OUA regular season. Only a few weeks remain, and that means these games mean more than ever. And oh my word, are the players and these great OUA athletes delivering for us. This, I think, was one of the most exciting weekends that I can ever remember in OUA basketball. So with that in mind, why don't we start our recap on the men's side, and we'll head out to Kingston, where there were a couple of massive games played this weekend. We all know how tough it is to beat the Gales on their home floor, and we had TMU and Brock both trying to do just that. Those two teams locked in a tight divisional fight with Lakehead. I said last week that if either one of them could get a win over Queens, that could be massive for them, and both teams gave it their absolute all, but only the Badgers could do it in the end as they beat the Gales 102-100 just one day after Queens beat TMU 77-75. Two of the absolute best games of the year, and honestly maybe two of the best games of the last 5 years. Ollie Engen hit the mid-range pull-up dagger with 2 seconds left to give Queens the win over TMU despite another phenomenal effort from Aaron Rooms. Then the very next night, Queens may be a little exhausted from that emotional high-stress game against TMU, so Brock races out to a 28-19 lead after the first quarter, but the Gales come storming back to make it a tight game, and it all comes down to Michael Mattis backing down his man and hitting the post shot to give Brock a massive win. Badgers have now won 10 games in a row on the men's side. Over on the women's side, we had the exact same slate of exciting, important matchups. And we got some great games over there as well. TMU beat Queens 58-56 behind 21 points from Jamie Foreman. But Queens bounced back with a 63-59 win over Brock the next night. Just an absolute clash of the Titans once again. Elsewhere in the province, York took a couple of games off of Lakehead. Ottawa beat Laurentian by 3, and Waterloo beat Western in a midweek game. And speaking of the Western Mustangs, that brings me perfectly to today's guest. And making her triumphant return to the OUA Basketball Show, one of our favorite guests from last season, Jenna Button. Jenna, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a big year for you since the last time we talked to you. You finished up your run at McMaster. You graduated. Congratulations for that. And you now find yourself playing for the Western Mustangs and playing amazingly for the Western Mustangs, I might add. And we'll get into all of that. But as of right now, I think the big question on my mind, and I'm sure the viewers' minds as well, is what's it like joining a new team at this stage in your career? How has that been for you so far?
Yeah, it was obviously huge transition. 5 years at Mac, I got used to the style of play there, the coaching, the people I was around. So it was a big change, and I knew that, and so did my coach Nate. I remember him when I sat down on my visit. He was like, it's gonna be a big adjustment, and he talked about McKeely Shantz as well. He was like, it took her a while to get used to things, but you do settle in eventually. And I think it took me a month or two. I think I kind of had a revelation in October, and I was like, what's going on here? But finally settled in, and yeah, I'm enjoying my time here. It's been a good change.
That's great. Yeah, obviously Western went through a very similar thing when they picked up McKeely last year, and she's now an assistant coach with the program. Has she been helping you? Has that been a good influence to have on the staff there, I imagine?
She's an amazing human being. So insightful, so knowledgeable. So I would have loved to play with her, obviously, this season, but things happen. So it's really nice having her and having someone that you can go and talk to on the coaching staff.
Absolutely. And you are also now a graduate student. Congratulations on
Thanks.
that. That's a great accomplishment. How is that different, still having the student athlete schedule, but now being a graduate student? I feel like most of the athletes I get to talk to are undergrads. This is a special opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, it's so busy. It's physical therapy is a really intense program, like 24 months straight and long days of labs and classes, which is a lot different than like my last year. I was taking like 4 courses, 3 courses, so it was pretty
Right.
chill. But it's good. Like it's what I want to be doing, so it's worth it. It's just it was an adjustment as well, like coming obviously to a new school, new program, new workload. So it was a lot to get used to, but it's good. I finally have my footing, I feel like.
And like physical therapy, are you doing stuff where you can help in the stretches and stuff like that? Like, hey, don't do it that way. You're gonna throw your back out at age 45 there.
Yeah. I find myself like analyzing people a lot more now, like analyzing gait or the way people move, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like that
You are
makes
gonna
me
have
think.
problems.
But yeah.
Well, congratulations for that. You joined a Western Mustangs team that came off a strong season last year, made the playoffs. Obviously, had some great talent on there. You talked about the adjustment? I'm wondering, like, there are two ways to adjust. Obviously, you're on court and you're off court. I guess we'll start with the on court. How did that approach have to change for you, fitting into Coach McKibben's system and new teammates? What have you been working on since you arrived from Hamilton?
I think that just like keeping an open mind, like I
Mm-hmm.
knew it was going to be very different from what I was used to. So just really trying to listen to the kind of not rules, but the way that their systems run, and just like asking a lot of questions. So I was clear on what was like expected of me and how they wanted me to fit in as well, while also trying to like continue to play my style, and enjoy my last year of eligibility. So it was again big adjustment, but yeah, just trying to keep that open mind and really listen to what other people were saying.
That's great. And then off the court as well, I feel like you're sort of touching on it there. But so you come in, it's never easy to be the new kid in school. Obviously, everyone knows that. But you're a widely respected OUA veteran, like you said, in your final year of eligibility there. How did you come in and try to be a leader right away? Or are you learning the pulse of the locker room? How do you approach that as a vet?
I think it took me a little while to find my voice again because I didn't obviously want to step on toes or
Right.
anything. So a lot of kind of stepping back and letting other people speak first. And then once I felt more comfortable and felt like it was my opportunity to speak, then trying to use my experience when I could. I think because there's so many rookies, I think there's 7 rookies on the
Yeah.
team, which is very similar to our team at Mac last year. Um, Kind of trying to help them along as well, like help them adjust while I was also adjusting, because that was something that I really helped me at Mac. Was having those leaders like talk to me and felt like it making me feel like I was meant to be there, and whatnot.
Yeah, well, that's enough about the switching team stuff because you're having an amazing season on the court, and I want to talk about that as well. You're top five in the OUA. You're scoring the most points per game of your career right now. You're attempting more shots per game and more threes per game than you ever have before, according to the numbers. Was that something that you sort of have consciously decided on, something that you've worked with Coach McKibben and the staff on, or is that just sort of game flow as it's coming right now?
I think a little bit of both. I think that Nate instills a lot of trust in me, and he both like or sorry, all of my coaches say that like they want me to be shooting the ball, even if I think that I might not be shooting so great or shouldn't be
That's good
shooting
coaching right there.
shooting all of the shots. But yeah, no, they instill a lot of trust in me, which helps me for sure. But not anything consciously, just trying to continue to play my game and feel out the game and try and take the open shots and the right shots, which the last couple of games I've been taking too many shots. But that's me personally saying that. But
One thing I'm curious about. I know you guys have a big game coming up tomorrow, but we're talking right now after you had an off weekend last weekend. I always love to learn how the OUA teams use their off weekends because they're so rare. It feels
I
like you
know.
don't get many opportunities for a bye week basically.
Yeah.
So how did the team use that, especially as we're at this point in the season gearing up for that stretch run?
Yeah, it was super weird. Like, didn't expect it. I kind of like looked at our schedule and I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, I think just kind of trying to rest our bodies as much as we can. Like at this point in the season, like you're getting tired, you're getting kind of banged up. So having those 2 days off was really nice to kind of like reset and also like take a step back from basketball as well. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
a good group of us actually from Hamilton here. So I
Oh,
drove
nice.
a couple of my rookies back home to Hamilton. We spent the weekend with our families, which was really nice. But yeah, it's always nice to have a little bit of a break to let your body recover and recuperate and kind of reset for the week coming up.
Yeah, and speaking of the week coming up, there's only 5 games left in the regular
Mm-hmm.
season for you guys. I know I have that same face already,
Yeah, I know it's
but
wild.
we've got some huge divisional games included in those. You're in the thick of a playoff race right now. You're a vet who's been in this position many times over your accomplished career, your 1,000 point career. Do the games change as we get closer to the playoffs here? Have you noticed that? Like how do things adjust as everything gets more intense?
I think obviously they matter more, especially for like positioning going into playoffs and that kind of sense. But I think it's also just like you kind of step back and realize like, wow, this season does go by so fast, and like every game matters. So I know that after our game last night, we had a chat in our locker room just about like showing up every game and like fighting until the buzzer goes at the end of the game, which I think that should be something that is like carried on throughout the season, but it becomes more and more like evidence towards the end of the season in these like big divisional games.
Yeah. Well, good luck the rest of the way, Jenna. Just before I let you go, I got to ask one thing. I noticed that you set a new career high this season, 31 points. Congratulations. I noticed it happened to come against the McMaster Marauders. Just a coincidence? Or
Yeah, yeah. It happened to be a coincidence. It was our home opener at Western. Of course we were
mhm.
playing Mac. Thankfully we weren't playing them at Burridge because I think that would have really thrown me for a loop, but it just ended up that I shot well that game. So yeah.
Okay. I think I believe you.
Yeah.
You seem very sincere.
Yeah.
Jenna Button, congratulations on your amazing season so far. Good luck the rest of the way, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Jenna for returning to the show. It was great to talk to her again. And speaking of great, we've got some great games coming up again this weekend, believe it or not. Folks, I think this might be legitimately one of the most fun regular seasons in OUA history. I have been enjoying every single weekend of these games. Teams from all across the province have been giving us nothing but classic after classic after classic. And there are so many elite teams. I truly have no idea how these playoffs are going to go. I don't even know how these playoff races are going to go, as we've got these great teams jockeying for seeding, jockeying for spots, for divisional wins and buys. Everything is so intense right now. It's so important. And that's why you got to be tuning in to your favorite team this weekend, supporting your favorite school. But if you're a fan looking for the best games, we got those for you too. On the women's side, Queens is doing the Ottawa trip this weekend. It's going to be incredible. They face the GGs on the Friday night in a clash of OUE's Titans. And then, of course, head to Carleton the next night. That road trip is always so tough against Ottawa and Carleton. But if there's any team that can handle it, it is the Queens Gales. These are all 3 teams capable of winning the Critelli Cup. I'm going to be glued to every second of those matchups. On the men's side, of course, those are going to be must-watch games as well. The Queens against Ottawa and Queens against Carleton. But I'm going to add in a couple of extra games to watch because that's how good the season has been. We're breaking all the rules right now. Lakehead Thunderwolves making the trip down to St. Catharines to play Brock. Brock fresh off that win over Queens, like we were just talking about before we got to talk to Jenna. And they are going to be playing their 2 games against the Badgers back to back. The OUA schedule makers are stressing us out with this one because it's great to have so many great games, but they all happen at the same time and you want to watch it all. So also can catch the replays on OUA.tv over there if you want to just focus in on one game live. Be sure to watch all of the action this weekend on OUA.tv. We will be back next week with another episode of the OUA Basketball Show. Things are better than ever in the OUA. I can't wait. I hope you all enjoy the games. Thanks so much for watching.